to the Tech Talks Daily podcast. Now, as somebody that records 10 podcast interviews every week, edits around 20 podcasts for clients, and writes so many different articles, I often joke to myself, hey, if only I could find a clone to take away some of those mundane tasks, I'd be able to get so much more done and have a little bit more free time. And I suspect we've all thought that at some point. Hey, until they're able to clone me, it's just me. But I've recently come across a company called Doppl.ai. And what caught my attention was their website states Doppl can handle mundane tasks, allowing individuals to focus on what truly matters. It empowers people to be in multiple places simultaneously, amplifying their productivity. So I dived a little bit deeper into this, and I quickly learned that essentially you can create a digital twin of yourself. And straight away I was thinking, does that mean I'd have to sit in endless amounts of meetings? Imagine if you could just send, I'm going to send my digital twin to this meeting. Imagine being able to do that. I think we'd all love to do that. But on the flip side, there's also the darker side of this. Some more cautious amongst you listening out there will say, yeah, that's great, Neil, until when somebody can use that digital twin and use it against you, get you to say controversial things, and then that content will be able to discredit you or spread disinformation. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of exciting things, a few things to be concerned about. So I invited them on the podcast to tell me more about how these AI-generated twins can be interactive, highly precise representations of an individual, but also done in a way that takes security and privacy incredibly seriously, and of course being encrypted. But when I had a look under the hood, I also learned that Doppl.ai has assembled a team of exceptional product builders too. It's almost like the Avengers of tech. You know, we've got Chris Anderson, formerly of IGN, and GameFly as Chief Product Officer, Head of AI, Alex Raymond, who was the engine team lead at Speechmatics, and also their inspiring CEO. But I've probably revealed far too many spoilers already. So with the scene set for this, if ever you wanted to create your own digital twin and increase your productivity, 2 for the price of 1, you're going to love this episode. But enough from me. Buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Portugal, where the CEO of Doppl.ai is waiting to share his story. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. My name is Thibault Launay, and I'm the CEO of Doppl.ai. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 11 years, and I'm happy today to tell you a bit more about Doppl.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. So one of the things I always try and do at the very beginning of an episode is take the guest back in time. Let's learn more about the origin story of the company. So can you tell me a little bit more about Doppl.ai, the driving inspiration behind creating the platform, what it's about, what problems you solve, and how did your entrepreneurial journey lead you to this concept? Or like I said, what's your origin story here?
So I'm French. I'm 34 years old right now. I created my first company at the age of 22. So actually, I've been an employee only 6 months in my life, and I've been creating companies in different sectors, right? So some entrepreneurs, they always do the same thing. And my first business was in a heavy industry, so very different. Then my last company is called Exclusible, is in Web3, NFT, and Metaverse. And since last year, I've been very exciting about AI, and I was always brainstorming with the team to say, okay, what can we do? And my CTO and CPO came with this idea of Doppl. And when they pitched me the idea, I immediately told them, look, guys, let's do it. I'm not sure how we will structure it because it's quite different from what we do, but let's create a separate company. Let's find a way to make it work. And we started in December of last year, and now the plan is to have a MVP in the next few months. But in a few words, what Doppl is we are building you in AI. So the way you look, the way you speak, the way you sing. So it would be in text, voice, and video. So it's a bit like cloning yourself in AI. So there's a ton of application, right? It could be productivity, right? You go to the beach, you go on holidays with your family, while your Doppl can perform some kind of activities. There's obviously the notion of immortality, right?
Yeah.
Basically, you're here forever. And there's a notion of entertainment, right? Because it's quite fun to be able to interact. Either you speaking with yourself, or a friend or your family speaking with your Doppl to have a discussion, your Doppl speaking with another Doppl.
How cool is that, man? So you don't have to go to any meeting in the future. Maybe you don't have to go to meetings anymore. Just let your doppelganger go to all those meetings on your behalf. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Actually, yes.
So your team at Doppl.ai boasts some exceptional talent. So I've got to ask, how did you go about assembling this group of experts, and what role do each of them play in shaping that product and vision at Doppl.ai? Because you've got quite a team there, haven't you? Yeah.
Yes. In every company I started, I always try to assemble a team which is different, complementary. And I mean, I see a bit like I am the manager of a football team, right?
Yeah.
You need to have, the striker. So you need the Kylian Mbappe. You need the guy in the middle. You need the goalkeeper, right? So you need a complementary team. So I am really happy to have CPO, CTO, head of AI. They're all very experienced in the sector. So I basically convinced that the role of a CEO is to hire people who are smarter than you in their specific area. So me, I'm more like the generalist guy, right? I know a little bit about everything, the marketing, the legal, the finance, raising funds, the tech, the product, whatever. And in each area, I need a CTO that is really, really good at technical stuff, a CPO really good at product, and the AI, which is basically an AI genius.
And I'm just thinking out loud here. The idea of creating a digital twin really captured my imagination. It's quite intriguing. So can you walk me through the process of how I would create my own Doppl and how the AI ensures that it is a highly precise representation?
Yes. And before that, to explain you, so actually we started 2 years ago with this other company, Exclusible. We always have been focusing on digital twin, but at first we were doing, example, digital twin of real estate in gaming, in metaverse, and this kind of thing, right? So here, instead of doing digital twin of a space, we're doing digital twin of a person, which is much more challenging because we need to know what you know, we need to know what you don't know, we need to know exactly the way you look, the way you speak, and everything. So technically much more difficult, but it's much more exciting. And how does that work? It's basically, it will be a mobile app, right? So you will download the app, and to have something which is a fair, let's say, high quality representation of yourself, we need a lot of data, right? And today, on your phone, you already have a lot of data. You have a lot of photos, or you have WhatsApp, you have Gmail, there's already a lot of information. So you download the app, and you can decide to give access to your camera, to your microphone, to give access to your WhatsApp information, your photos and everything. And the more data you provide, the more, let's say, high fidelity representation we will be able to build. So one aspect is that it's passive learning. It's use existing data. Also, currently we're talking on Zoom, and you could say, I give access to my Doppl, to my microphone and video, so that at the moment, while we are talking, your Doppl could learn. So it's passive learning, but also there will be some kind of more active learning and in, let's say, kind of in a fun way, right? So there will be some kind of exercise asking you some question, but in a way, when you download the app at the beginning, it's a bit like if you have a twin brother who has amnesia, right? And he's asking you, tell me about our parents, how old I am, when I was born, where, what's about my life, where did I go to school, who are my friends? And it's like you're speaking with your twin brother so that he knows more and more, he's improving over time. And after a few months, it should be a good, high quality representation of yourself.
Wow, man, I need to check this out. I'm going to have a look and see if I can have myself interviewing myself for a future podcast episode. But of course, a major concern in today's digital world is data privacy and security. I suspect most people listening have seen those deep fake Tom Cruise videos and videos of world leaders. And there will be a concern in the wrong hands. Someone could take your digital twin and have it saying controversial things to discredit or ensure that they get cancelled, etc. So at Doppl.ai, how do you address these concerns, especially considering the platform uses things like personal data to create digital representations? It's probably a question you get asked all the time, but how do you get around this?
As you know, with AI, many people are excited, but also many people are scared, right? Yeah. But what is going to happen? What can my Doppl do? Can somebody steal my Doppl or whatever? So the first important thing is we need to know that you is you, right? Because otherwise I could pretend to be you and call your partner or your family and asking them for money or whatever. So here, there will be some like standard KYC process where you need to know that you and you, similar to when if you create a crypto account on a account-based Binance or whatever, right? There's KYC. And once we know that you and you, and we will ask you, okay, do you allow to give access to WhatsApp, your photos and whatever? You will be scared, right? You say, but will the company have access to my private information? So no, we as a company, we never have access to the data. So the data technically never leave your phone, right? So you own your data, it's your information. And yes, so security and privacy for us is extremely important. Because we think this is the only way to grow, to bring the next 100 million people to Doppl.
And social media, as we know it today, often portrays a curated version of an individual, their highlight reel. So I'm curious, how does Doppel's approach differ, and what benefits do you see users portraying and maybe a more authentic version of themselves in the digital realm?
Yes, you're right with the authentic aspect, because we really see Doppl as the future of social media. Because ultimately, I don't know, Facebook or Instagram, it's, okay, you put there what you want to put, and if you publish nothing, I mean, nothing is going to happen. Your profile will be the exact same day yesterday and today if you didn't publish anything in the meantime. So yeah, one key difference is authenticity, right? Because on Instagram, you can use a filter or whatever. You can make your life looks amazing. So it's not really a high fidelity representation of yourself. And here also, of course, it's more dynamic, right? You can go every day to speak with a Doppl. It will always be a different conversation, whereas Instagram wall, of course, is much more static. So, and we think it will be more fun, and because if you think about it, well, on Instagram, what can you can comment a photo, and hopefully somebody will reply to this comment, and maybe the person is on holidays and for 2 weeks nobody comments or whatever. So it is much more interactive, fun, and dynamic, right? And it's full of surprise, right? Because you don't know what will be the conversation about. And yeah, we just think it's a continuity of social media. And we also think that people, even if they will not, if you ask them, if you ask people, okay, do you love yourself, whatever, most people say, no, I don't like myself. But if you look at selfies as an example, there's 90 million selfies per day. Yep. When you think about it, it's kind of weird. You take a photo of yourself and you put on social media. So what is a Doppl? It's just the 3D dimension of the selfie, right? It's the future of selfie. So it will be really interesting to see. And I don't know yet what will be the most successful use case. Is it people will spend hours speaking with themselves, or people will want to speak to the Doppl of a celebrity, or people will want to watch their Doppl speaking with another Doppl and be more like passive. So yeah, it will be a full of learning for us to see what people actually love to do, because I mean, the number of use cases is almost infinite.
And before you came on the podcast, I was doing a little research on you, and I was reading how Doppl.ai evolved from Exclusible, which was a company deeply embedded in the Web3 and metaverse space. So how do you now leverage Web3 technology, and what role do you see it continuing to play in the future of metaverse experiences?
Yes. So at Exclusible, we have an NFT platform, but also we develop metaverse and gaming experience for brand in different games like Roblox or metaverse platform like Sandbox. And we already do digital twin of real estate and this kind of thing. And we do some gaming experience with avatar, concert, etc. So we see it as a continuity, but at the same time, it's quite different. And that's why we decided to create a new and independent company. Because if we go and speak to media or investors and we say, look, we do NFT, we do gaming, we do metaverse, and we do AI, it's very confusing, right?
Yeah.
So even if we love everything, we think, okay, it's more clean to start with a new company that will only focus on Doppl, and sometimes there will be some synergies, but at the same time, I want to be pragmatic because I think a great product is a simple product. So at the beginning, I was saying, okay, how can the Doppl go in the metaverse and the notion of collecting NFT and whatever? But I was thinking, wow, if I implement blockchain plus NFT plus metaverse plus AI in a product, it will probably be a complex product to use. And my first mission with Doppl, which I didn't succeed with Exclusible, is I would like my mom or my dad to use my product. And in reality, when I ask my mom, do you want an NFT? No, she doesn't care. She doesn't want an NFT. Do you want to go in my metaverse experience? She doesn't really care, right? But if I ask her, do you want your Doppl? She find it actually interesting, and I think she will want to try. So this is what I like with AI, and we saw that with ChatGPT. That you can have tens or hundreds of millions of users. If you're young, older, woman, man, whatever, everyone at the moment is using ChatGPT, right? Whereas NFT in metaverse it's quite small. But this is also what excites me, is how can I create a product for the mass market that will be simple to use and that everyone enjoy using.
And you mentioned a word a few moments ago, the convergence there. And for me, what's most exciting about all these different technologies, that moment when they all converge. So as someone that is a well-known NFT collector, entrepreneur, etc., in the Web3 space, I'm curious, how do you see the convergence of NFTs, AI, and digital twins? And are there any, dare I ask, any plans to incorporate NFTs with Doppl.ai in the future?
Yeah. So what I can say is with our company Exclusible, we're already using AI to work faster. As an example, when we build some environment and we have a meeting with a brand and they say, I want to create this kind of environment, and we have a brief, we leverage AI to go faster in the brainstorming phase and concept phase. So we're already using a little bit of AI, but it's bit early, and actually we are brainstorming with a team, and we don't know to what extent should the Doppl be in the metaverse experience and do certain kind of action, or do we consider that it's kind of two different audience and that the people who love AI are not necessarily the same people who love NFT and metaverse? So let's say at the beginning, we will make it simple and there will be no notion of NFT and metaverse, but who knows what happen in 1 year, in 2 years. And anyway, I like to experiment many things, right? So I will definitely want to try, because example, one key problem of the metaverse at the moment, it's everyone talks, there were many articles about it, talking about the empty metaverse or ghost town. Basically, you go to the experience, there's nothing to do, there's nobody, and you're bored. What if you go there and you have many Doppl speaking with you, right? So finally, you have something to do. You have people to interact with. And finally, a metaverse experience is fun and engaging. So yeah, this is something I'm exploring to see how kind of technology like Doppl solves this problem of the empty metaverse.
Fantastic. And I'm now going to ask you to look into your virtual crystal ball here. I know it's a very difficult thing to do because everything's moving at such a fast pace at the moment. But if we look into the future, how do you envision the evolution of high utility social media, and where does Doppl fit into that vision? And finally, as well, just to add on to that, for anyone listening that might be from your community, is there anything you can share what's next for Doppl and indeed for you as an entrepreneur in the Web3 space?
Yeah. Before to go on this question, and I think about something. If you look around my neck, what do I have here? I have an NFT. CryptoPunk NFT, but what is this? In a way, I wear this because it's an expression of myself, right? It's linked to my identity, right? So this is kind of an example of where what will Doppl? Doppl will be a high fidelity representation of myself. And yeah, it's in a way to add my NFT around my neck to show who I am, what I like, what group I belong to, and this kind of thing. So there will be many, the notion of identity and actually also, what make NFT pretty famous was all these PFP, right? Profile pictures, where people, it was interesting because in many cases, of course, the way it looks, it doesn't look like me, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because people choose the NFT because they feel an emotion or they feel something that, okay, I feel this group of people, this community, I want to belong to it, right? So it's interesting. It's a way, in a way, it's a representation of you, which is not high fidelity, but it's still a representation of you. And yeah, so also social media. I mean, I think it's today. It's pretty boring, right? And I think the only reason when was Facebook? I started Facebook maybe in 2008, and yeah, okay, so it was one page. You upload a photo, and that's it. And it was, even if still pretty boring, it was still kind of a revolution, right? Everyone was using Facebook, and now, of course, it's more like TikTok and Instagram. But the only reason I think why Facebook didn't do something like Doppl is because at that time it was technically impossible. So the only thing they could do is, okay, it's a 2D representation of your life, and that's it. But now that we can do a 3D representation of your life, it's just a no-brainer. Why would we do a 2D if we can do a 3D? Now that your Doppl can speak with your voice, can look like you, can think like you, it makes so much sense. And actually, those big players will want to develop something similar, or ultimately will want to buy companies like us or to do a strategic partnership because it just makes sense, right? It doesn't make sense that at the moment on social media, it's you upload a photo or video, people like and comment. It could be much more than that.
Wow, I think that is a fantastic moment to end on. And for anyone listening, and I include myself in this, that want to check out Doppl, maybe create their own digital twin, have a play around with it, see what they can create, see what use cases they can have with it. What's the best starting point? Can you point everyone listening the best way of getting up and running and finding out more information?
Yes. So go on Doppl.ai. We already have, I think, 83,000 people on a waiting list. We will release the product in a few months, but the best way, register to the newsletter so that we'll keep you informed. In September, we will also release some videos about, what kind of product we're going to build. So at the moment, we're working hard, hiring more people, raising more funds to build. And the challenge, of course, is to build something which is a good quality, right? So now we're still at the phase of experiment where it's already working pretty well, but of course, we have to improve. And the challenge for us will be to find the right balance about at one point we release on the market, right? Because if we release now, it's a bit too early because it's not, let's say, good enough to be on the market. But so the plan is to have in a few months the MVP and hopefully next year the product that everyone will be able to use and enjoy.
Well, on that newsletter and waiting list, I think that number will be 80,001 before I release this episode, because I'm going to be putting my name down there. And I'd love to get you back on next year, find out more information, find how things are evolving. And so I'll be following you very, very closely. So it'd be great to get you back on next year. But more than anything, just thank you for setting the scene for the exciting times ahead today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And look, next year we should do a podcast with your Doppl or my Doppl. We will try to do something fun.
Yes, absolutely. We'll make that happen. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
So much to think about from that conversation. I love their unique offering of this digital twin that showcases the almost natural progression that social media will take. Where, yes, we're all guilty of it at some point, showcasing a highlight reel, highlighting a false and filtered version of oneself, to go from that to a digital AI twin creation tool that allows the user to be their true self. Wow, so much to think about there. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Are you going to be adding your name to the waiting list? I've already added mine on there. I'd love to play around with these things as soon as they come out. And I will try and get the CEO on next year and see if we can have an interview between the two digital twins. I'm going to try and make that happen next year. I promise you that. But as for you listening, are you going to be signing up? Does it excite you? Does it concern you? I want to hear all sides of this tale. And if you'd like to come on and have a chat with me about it, equally happy to do that. Email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just at Neil C. Hughes. We'll keep this conversation going. It's something that will impact us all. And I'd love to hear all sides of the argument. Who's excited, who's cautious, and all those wonderful things in between. But that's it for today. So a big thank you as always for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.